from deep in the heart of the San Fernando Valley, it's Hanging with Dr. Z with Rusty Steele and the Steel Wheels. Tonight, Svengoolie. This monkey means business. The doctor will see you now.
Oh, come on! Hello! Thank you! What a crowd! Welcome to the show. This is Hanging with Dr. Z, and I'm Dr. Z. Thank you so much. Wonderful. This is Rusty Steele and the Steel Wheels over here. Yes, that's Rusty getting the most of his guitar dollar. How are you, Rusty?
I'm okay.
Now, Rusty.
Yeah.
The other night, I was at the Smokehouse in Burbank.
Yeah.
And I saw you there, and you were having a quiet dinner in the corner with a woman that was not Claudine. Mm-hmm. What was going on there?
I was having an affair.
Oh.
No.
How's that going?
Oh, not good.
Not good?
Kind of made her mad.
Claudine?
Both of them. I'm like, whoa. Don't put me in the middle of this.
Oh, you know, I don't think you know, but yes, that's the thing you don't want to tell.
Oh.
You want to keep that, we call that on the DL.
Oh.
You don't go like, hey, I'm going to have an affair with her. Are you cool?
So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Live and learn.
Now, we have a very exciting show tonight. You know who's here tonight?
Who?
One of my favorite people on the planet. Svengoolie is here tonight.
Ooh.
The host of Svengoolie on MeTV on Saturday nights. He shows old horror movies.
Yeah.
It's just, he's the greatest. He's a great guy. Very exciting. Now, Rusty, you were talking about horror movies. Do you have a favorite horror movie?
Oh, I got lots of favorites.
What's your favorite?
I'm a big fan. Probably, for me, my favorite would be The Turning Point.
With Jane Fonda?
Yeah, about the two ballerinas that are old and they argue a lot.
Yeah.
Or Ordinary People. Very scary.
How so?
Just how they talk.
Uh-huh.
And then Carnal Knowledge. I don't like that. That one really scared me.
These aren't really horror movies. These are just movies about people confronting difficult feelings.
And your point is what?
So you're not, yeah. All right, that washes, actually. I understand that.
Yeah.
Another great horror movie, King Kong. Now, I have a predilection for films about apes. But if you've ever seen King Kong, the original, they capture King Kong and they bring him to New York. And then they put him up in a theater, chained up to this structure. And the sign says, Kong, the eighth wonder of the world. And people come into the theater and they open up the curtain and there's King Kong. And they start taking pictures of him and he flips out and he breaks loose and he tears apart the theater.
Wow.
If he didn't break loose, what was the show? Then later in the show, the cast of HBO's Succession is going to be out here to do a dramatic reenactment of The Aristocrats. So come on back. We'll be right with you. Take it, Rusty.
Air travel for Hanging with Dr. Z is provided by Transfux Airlines, featuring the new luxury Boeing Cruiser, the world's largest luxury airliner. Featuring exclusive, luxurious hot tub piano bar, racquetball court, third-level Lazy Boy Vistadome Observation Lounge, sumptuous airborne living. Call your Fuxley authorized travel agent today and go coast to coast in only 13 and a half hours. Transfux Airlines. Don't let lawsuits keep you from high-flying luxury. Fux Air. Exciting travel excitement.
New from Fuxley. For a limited time, it's Hanging with Dr. Z Hot Rod T-shirts. A variety of colors. Red, blue, the other ones. A variety of sizes. Small, large, extra large, even medium. Also, mugs. 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 Hot liquids, cold liquids. The Dr. Z mug holds them all. This is not a joke. We're really selling this stuff. Go to hangingwithdrz.com. Available now for a limited time. My first guest tonight is a broadcasting legend.
Who?
He first hit the airwaves in 1979 on WFLD in Chicago, Illinois, and is still going strong today all across this great land on the Me TV network. Please welcome the jewel in the crown of my Saturday night, from Berwyn, Illinois, Svengoolie.
It's been a while since I've had a chance to see you. I hope you'll excuse the fact that I've got a little bit of a Carpathian cold going on here.
As they say in the business, a little spilkus.
And I can't take like Robitussin because I don't want to get rid of my coffin. You see?
Now, let me get this out of the way. Whenever I see someone wearing a top hat, I assume it's hiding a vestigial twin growing out of their scalp. Prove me wrong.
Well, I hate to remove it, but see.
Just you. I imagine that there's like a top hat and mascara store, and it's just you and Alice Cooper once a week.
Yeah, and also Mr. Peanut at times.
Jack the Ripper. There's a lot of people. You're in good company. Tom Petty.
Listen, it's endless. They're doing good business.
Abe Lincoln. So you started in 1979. The Svengoolie began in 1970.
Right.
On a show called Screaming Yellow Theater. It's actually a very fascinating story.
My mentor, who was a radio and TV guy, Jerry G. Bishop, happened to be the announcer on duty. And when he was doing his announcements, he started like doing shtick and doing an accent, and eventually created this character that he and one of the engineers called Svengoolie. I sent him in some jokes, and he seemed to like that. He said, send me more. Eventually, he decided that I was good enough that I would be able to pick up the reins of the Svengoolie family.
Oh, that's it. So he was Svengoolie, apparently Swedish. You're the son of Svengoolie. When am I going to get a grandson of Svengoolie?
Well, first you have to meet a woman, and then the two of you fall in love.
This is 1970, when a lot of people of that age were enjoying what we like to call jazz cigarettes.
Yes, exactly.
And that sensibility sort of infused the show. You show horror movies. Do you have a favorite horror movie?
I do really like the original Universals, the first movies of Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, The Werewolf, Dracula, The Mummy.
I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, well,
I mean, I know you have a lot of fans, but I'm telling you right now, none of them mean a goddamn thing. It's this cat, because you know what? Because I have a direct line to the cat upstairs. And between him and myself, we're your main line.
And I appreciate that, believe me.
Okay, one more. F, Marry, Kill, Moe, Larry, and Curly. Go! You used to host Three Stooges theme weeks.
Yes.
And I said to you, what is the theme of the Three Stooges aside from hitting somebody in the head? And there are many types of themes from the Stooges.
Oh, yeah. For example, there's ones where some word will trigger Curly to go into some sort of frenzy, or some sort of thing that triggers it, whether it's wild hyacinth perfume or seeing a mouse. They would have the theme of some sort of parrot crawling into a turkey or large chicken of some sort.
Yeah.
That was on the table.
Yeah, a parrot could walk into an entire cooked turkey and make it fly. Physiologically doubtful.
Unless it's some sort of jet-powered parrot.
Are you familiar with the other Stooges, the band, the Iggy Pop band, the Stooges?
Just barely, yes. They didn't do as much eye poking.
Are you familiar with the Ron Ashton, William Shatner imbroglio?
Just barely, yes.
Ron Ashton, who is in the Stooges with Iggy Pop, swears on a stack of Bible that one night in the 70s, the Stooges were in L.A. at a bar drinking after recording, and that William Shatner was at the bar, and that, and these are the words of Ron Ashton. I'm not making a judgment. I'm not saying it's true. But according to Ron Ashton, William Shatner literally chased him down Sunset Boulevard, demanding that they make love.
I think that was episode 6 of the second season of Star Trek.
Yeah. The gamesters of Triskelion took a terrible turn. My qualm with that story is if William Shatner wants to make love to you, you do it. I mean, it's William Shatner. What are you going to do, say no? Ghoulardi was played by Ernie Anderson, whose son, Paul Thomas Anderson, is a famous director, and he made a movie called Magnolia about his relationship with his father, Ernie Anderson, who was Ghoulardi.
Right.
Svengoolie, do you ever lie awake at night in fear that your child will grow up to make a 3-hour movie about what a bastard you are?
Seems to me to be more like a half-hour infomercial. But, yeah, I don't lose too much sleep about that, really.
Rusty Steele, Rusty, is there something that you wanted to ask Svengoolie before we let him go?
I do have one question, yeah. What was it like starring in Walking Tall?
I believe you're talking about Walking Tall Part 2.
I think you're right with
Because Walking Tall Part 1 was Joe Don Baker.
Oh.
Am I right?
Do you always have to correct me in front of people?
I do it out of love.
But why do you correct me like in front of people all the time?
It's not that I'm trying to get you to say the thing that's right. I just want you to know when you're wrong.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
I would think that, Sven, you've seen so many bad movies that Joe Don Baker's voice triggers a trauma response.
Oh, definitely so. Either him or Bo Svensson. Either way, that puts me on edge for several hours after I hear them.
I do have one more question.
I have one more question for you, but you go first.
Can I ask my last question?
You don't get a specific number of questions.
You told me that backstage and I get 2 questions.
Why are we fighting? I feel like we're back with the therapist, and Svengoolie is going to make us play when you say this, I feel that.
I just don't want to point at that doll again. I didn't like that.
I'll tell you what scares me. Intimacy.
Spooky!
What is scarier to you, Mr. Sardonicus or Robert Smith of The Cure now?
Robert Smith of The Cure, definitely.
He's starting to look like Elizabeth Taylor underwater. Sven, before I let you go, and I want to tell the people, if you don't see this cat, I don't know why you're watching this cat. Because there's this cat, and there's this cat, and there's this cat. And if we can't make it as a throuple, the center cannot hold. This is what we need to get it going. He's on Saturday nights on MeTV, 8 o'clock Eastern and Pacific. And in terms of mountain, I don't know. I've never been there. I fly over it, and that's cool. But Sven, here's my question. Don't you find it somewhat pathetic that you have to put on a bunch of makeup and host a TV show because of the things that you're obsessed about that you had to watch as a child on television because you couldn't get your parents' attention? Wait a minute, that's me. I withdraw the question.
Yeah, I'm wearing makeup? Really?
We'll talk. You go to a lot of horror conventions. What's the worst odor you've ever smelt?